We finally have an open qualifier, but this year there is a twist. In case you missed it, Ubisoft announced that Challenger League in both EU and North America might not grant access to the top leagues, thus hinting towards some kind of potential franchise system or similar without the promotions and the relegations that we've become accustomed to. This has created an air of mystery around this year's qualifiers. Yeah. Teams know that topping the event this weekend will virtually guarantee them a spot in Challenger League, but they don't know what topping Challenger League will give them. This announcement was made a few weeks ago and understandably irked the community somewhat, and the indecisiveness of it all is far from ideal, but that's not what this video is about. If you want to see details of the announcement, I've linked it in the description. What I really want to look at today is who's hot and who's not.
Are we hot? We are not.
If CG Sports has taught us one thing, it's that it's all about who shows up on the day. So very recent form plays a big part in that. Some overall favourites to win Challenger League are suffering from really big slumps at the minute, and there are also sleeper teams in the mix who have hit form just at the right time. Same as last year, this qualifier is only the first of 3 with a cumulative point system based on how far you get in each bracket. So it's still not over for teams that aren't really performing this weekend. First place in just one of these qualifiers is enough in 99% of circumstances to make Challenger League, whilst a pair of top 4 finishes over 2 qualifiers should also do it. So with the ultimate prize of something on the line, let's take a look at who could top the EU Challenger League Open Qualifier. In the interest of providing the most up-to-date ratings of Tier 3 teams competing in the EU, I reached out to a few casters, coaches and players from select regions to give their verdicts. Liquipedia and watching several Nats leagues simultaneously on multi-stream on a Wednesday evening can only do so much. So before we get going, I want to thank those guys for really helping me out to provide a bit of extra depth for this video. I basically have today just to make this, so without them it would be a pretty surface analysis. Alright, so last year it was German and French teams who fared best in these open qualifiers overall, so let's start with Wild. This is the GSA roster featuring Aces and Corey. They won the Gamers Without Borders EU qualifiers and took down Victus, Heroic and Rogue on their way to doing so in best of 3s about a month ago. Everyone expects to see them in Challenger League one way or another, and they could be the first ones to make it there. Ex-coach and Team NX player Pogo agrees, calling Wild a clear favourite for making a deep run. They're currently top of the table in GSA, but if there's any reason to doubt their current form, it's that they suffered only their second loss of the season in overtime against up-and-comers White Tigers on Wednesday. If you're looking to counter-strat them, one weak point that analysts identified in the Gamers Without Borders tournament is their time management. And of course, with Corey on the team, there is the ever-present threat of team kills. From the French League, 3-2-1 Sked is the team to watch out for. I'm not sure what that name's about. In my eyes, their recent form has set them apart from other contenders like Helios and Death Row. I asked Bolt, the coach who masterminded Reply Totem's 2021 CL run, for his take on the best French teams, and while it'll take a little bit more to convince me, it still shows that there are believers in the French small s supremacy. As for Sked themselves, they match the stereotype of a very aggressive French team, but supposedly bend slightly more towards the structured side of that spectrum. Bolt also singled out Likefac as a talent to keep an eye on in this roster. The Italian PG Nats caster Etrurian pointed to Matchco, giving them the title of most stacked. However, given their recent 3-0 dismissal in the upper bracket final of the PG Nats by Makers, we seem to agree that there is only one clear favourite here. Makers came top 12 at SI in 2021, top 8 in Challenger League, and they consistently represent Italy's most likely route to Siege glory. Keeping the roster fresh, with the young gunner Dora now in the ranks, Etrurian sang the praises of Acqui and Lolo in particular, saying that on a good day, Lolo can perform better than Citizen during Tokoname. Big words indeed. In the MPL, 10-star are flying at the minute. A 7-win streak, including a dominant 7-3 victory over EUL Giants Heroic, should tell you just about all you need to know. Basically, Jonker has turned up and has brought ex-Wild guy Zanoxo with him, and the Germans are just running the show. Leader is popping out more MVP titles than Bojo can pop out illegitimate children. Together, they run a tight ship, so expect them to read teams like books. Team 86 are only marginally less impressive at the minute, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a deep run too. A very direct and objective-oriented team with talent to back it up, who have also picked up an XG2 player in Hungary, giving them a new lease of life. Over to Russia, who for obvious reasons have not had a Nationals League run this year, but their pool of talented players is still present. There is one clear standout here, and it's E+4, the ex-Empire roster, who came second at 6 Invitational and then got shafted. Surely I don't need to explain why this team will almost certainly end up in Challenger League. We don't have a ton to go off in terms of recent play. They were bettered by Victus in Games Without Borders, but since have had more time to practice away from prying eyes. Since this represents their only route back to the very top, besides possibly being poached by Tier 1 orgs, their desire and passion will most likely be completely unrivaled. Add to that their long and successful careers within Siege as individuals and as a team, and you've got a good shout for top contenders in these qualifiers. I've picked a few personal wildcards as well, just because anything can happen in these tournaments. White Tigers have just hit a rich vein of form, beating Wild 8-6 in the GSA and also flooring Ovation 7-1. They're starting to live up to the hype that the GSA scene has been piling on them for a while. There's a naughty little project team that have signed up by the name of EDS, which includes these guys, so definitely watch out for them. A brief mention of league toppers from other regions includes Jailings from Benelux, who are competing under the name Herbie, featuring Polish wonder Mexicito, Rebels from Spanish Nationals, and Invicta from V4, but historically these regions haven't turned out the best teams, so I'm personally counting them out of the race for open qualifier spots. Sorry. Some teams that I haven't mentioned yet, which you might have been surprised to not hear me talk about, include Ambush, Death Row, and Victus. All of them were mentioned in my mid-split video, but have since had a lot of trouble in their respective Nationals leagues. Victors have had a rough few weeks and are competing this weekend with 2 subs, including their coach, so they probably just have to wait for a better chance. Team Alpha also just lost to the bottom team in GSA, Valraven, so their stocks have significantly lowered, though Pogo and probably Alpha themselves are willing to look past that. My personal top 4 are Wild, 10-star, 321 Scared, and E+4. I pushed my experts for theirs, and here they are. But Bolt did make the good point that with no seeding process, bracket luck may be a factor. To round things off, all of that said, a lot of the teams that I've mentioned in this video are in with a good shot of winning their national league, so we could see a lot of them in Challenger League one way or another regardless. If I didn't mention your team, then well done, you don't have a target on your backs. Use that wisely. Massive thanks to Pogo, Etrurian, and Bolt for their input. I'll link their socials below. You guys rock. If you want to watch any of the open qualifiers, I'm going to be casting a bunch of them over the weekend on the Rainbow Six MPL channel. Let me know who you think will make the top 4 in the comments, and I hope to see